Hi, aligned souls. Welcome to the Soul Revival podcast, where we have meaningful conversations to help you explore tools and healing methods that help you return to your soul self. Join us as we help you merge the ethereal and the material worlds, allowing you to live your most fulfilling and aligned life. I'm Lindsay Stanton, author, somatic practitioner, intuitive Reiki master, and grief coach.
Hello, I am Autumn, a believer in miracles, intuitive guide, and psychic medium. We're your hosts and guides. We don't just talk healing, we live it. This is where soul meets strategy, spirit meets structure, and our highest selves take the mic.
Hello and welcome to the Soul Revival podcast. I'm Lindsay Stanton and I'm with my co-host Autumn Grimes. And today we have a very special guest. We have joining us today Joe Perreta. Joe, can you welcome yourself to the podcast and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, let me thank you guys for having me. I really do appreciate you having me on. I can't wait to have this little interview. But yeah, so my name is Joe Perreta. I'm a psychic medium. I've been doing it for 12 years now. I started when I was pretty young, not so young anymore, but I was very young when I started.
You'll want to stay tuned throughout the entire podcast for a special announcement all about angel signs.
Um, and I got certified through the Forever Family Foundation pretty early, which is how we met, I believe, right? And in Forever Family, so for those listening who might not know, it's a nonprofit organization that certifies mediums, basically just to make sure that grieving people have a resource, a reliable and reputable and accurate and ethical source of mediums. So they put us through a test, and we have to read a bunch of people, and the people are trained not to give us information, and then they score each reading like several different ways, and then I'm not a mathematician, so I don't know exactly how it's done, but there's a whole statistical analysis, and if you are specific enough and accurate enough, because you have to be specific too, because I could be 100% accurate and just say like, Lindsay, you had, hair when you were born, and your grandmother told me that. You know what I mean? Like, duh. So, you have to kind of operate it at consistently at a very high level to be a Forever Family medium. So I'm very grateful that I was able to do that. And I've been working with them. I guess if I'm doing this 12 years, I guess it's 10 or 11 that I'm with them. It's been a while. Um, but maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I started hosting one of their radio shows. The owner and founder Bob asked me if I wanted to host the radio show, and of course I agreed. So they have a radio show every Thursday of the month, but I do every third Thursday of the month, and it's a show called Mediums and Messages, where I host, and then I have another Forever Family certified medium come on, and we'll kind of chat a little bit about, witchy stuff, and then people will have callers, members of the foundation, or really anybody, from I've had people who follow me on social call in. We do the guest medium, and sometimes I'll jump into if I'm feeling a little frisky. And we'll do a reading on the person if they have a question or they just want to connect with spirit. So it's really good. There's a lot of opportunities to help. And I have to say, on kind of a selfish level, I do at least one grief retreat through Forever Family each year. And if anybody is, listening and is in grief and wants to experience that or is wondering about Forever Family, the grief retreats really are. They're so worth it. Oh my God, they're the transformation that people experience there is just, it's like you could physically see it from the Friday to the Sunday when you leave. Like it is so that's where we met, right?
Yeah,
Was
I experienced it firsthand. It's literally a game changer. And I mean, I don't want to get into it too much, but like just even yet, but even just like your loved ones put you in the rooms with the people that you need to meet too. So like, of course, it's the mediums and the amazing messages that you guys bring through. And I think it's really important that everybody knows that you mediums that volunteer for it, which I just think is like such a huge blessing and what a gift that you give to people because it literally was just a game changer on my journey. And I was blessed enough to have you read me. Like I hired you to read me after I'd watched the Netflix documentary.
Mhm.
And then like I think like 2 weeks afterwards, we were at the retreat together, which was like
Yeah.
so awesome.
Yeah. Was it the Connecticut one?
It
What was
was.
it?
Yeah.
One? That's my favorite retreat. Anyone listening, if you're not close to Connecticut, all the retreats are amazing. The quality is the same, but my favorite is Connecticut because of the location.
Yeah.
The
The vibe there.
Yeah, the other retreats are in like hotels, like they'll have like a convention center, so they'll do, all the stuff in the different rooms. But in Connecticut, the retreat center, it's like an actual retreat center, like in the middle of nowhere in Connecticut, in the woods, and they have like this beautiful field, and then it's like right on the edge of like these trees, and then there's like a labyrinth in the trees. It's so beautiful. I love it there so much. So I do that in July every year. And like I was saying, selfishly, like, I get so much out of Forever Family myself, and it is all volunteer. I've never gotten paid for anything. The only thing that they'll do is they'll pay for our flights when we fly out, which is we're not getting money. They're just
Right. Yeah. Just covering
you
your
know
expense.
we're
Yeah.
being thrown out. But that's it. But
Yeah.
selfishly, I love doing the grief retreats because it really reminds me and like feeds my soul and reminds me of why I do what I do. Because not every reading you do is going to be like this life altering reading for someone. Sometimes someone just books because like they've been having anxiety about something. You know what I mean? And it's like, what school is my daughter going to get into? And I'm like, all right, I can help. I'm psychic too, but this is not like, you know,
Soul satisfying.
right. So then I leave and I'm like, all right, well, at least to help the person, that's nice. And then, I go grocery shopping and I don't think about it. But when when someone has a spouse or a child that has passed, and they're like in the deepest, darkest point in their life, and you give them a reading and you can just see how much that helped a person just to know, like, okay, my daughter is still there. And that's all I needed to know. You know what I mean? And now, not that one reading is going to heal every ounce of grief and pain you have. But I think it, for a lot of people, allows you to begin healing because you're like, okay, at least I know they're not gone forever. They're okay. They love me. I just heard from them. Great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It cracks the door open to all that's possible.
Right. And then it just kind of makes it easier for you to kind of go on your own healing journey. Uh,
Exactly.
so yeah, so that's a little bit about me.
Thank you, Joe. That's amazing. And yeah, I having gone to that Connecticut one, it is all the things that Joe mentioned and more. Randomly, I would say the food there is phenomenal as
Oh,
well.
the food is pretty good there. Yeah. They make these, I don't know if you remember on the last night, they always make the coconut nests. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I
They
do.
they like take like shredded coconut and they like just douse it in chocolate.
Yes.
And it's just like this little like it looks like a bird's nest and oh my God, addictive is not even the
Yeah.
word. Like they're so good.
Desserts are my Achilles heel. So
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, so you loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we love to kick off with the question for you. What connects you most to your soul's purpose?
So I I have two things I think. One we sort of just talked about where
I could
really
feel you getting let up when you were talking.
yeah, really helping people. And again, I know that if someone is stressed about something sort of everyday life or really, maybe they're going through a divorce or I love to help those people. I really do. It makes me feel so good. But I've I know what that deep pain is where you're like, you can't even imagine the light, let alone see it.
Mhm.
So for me, when I help someone even realize that they could get out of that, to me that feeds my soul so much. And those readings are always like the best ones. I always tell people the people who get the best, like the craziest stuff I've ever said, it's not just to anybody. It's always to someone who really, really, really needs it. And I actually have I have a quick story if
Please.
I could
Yeah.
tell.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Slightly inappropriate, but it's
Even better.
I love it.
well, not really inappropriate, but anyway. So years ago, I'm talking like, oh my God, this is like 2017 maybe. This woman came to my apartment when I used to live on the Upper East Side, and she was super nice but very skeptical. Like I could just the second she walked through the door, I could feel it. So she sat down and we're doing the reading, and it was good, but I could tell she was waiting for like me to say one specific thing or waiting for me to like really like drive it on home. And again, for me, like I don't know you. I don't know anything about you. So anything I get right that I couldn't know, I'm like, oh, good job. You know what I mean? Like spirit's doing great. But if some people need like their social security number in order to believe, right? So this woman, lost her son, and he really was bringing up a lot of stuff, but I could just tell she was like slightly disappointed. So, but truthfully, I don't play that game. I stay true to what spirit gives me, and it is what it is. Um, so all of a sudden, toward the end of the reading, her son kept showing me a tennis ball. Now, I have to give you another really quick backstory as to why he was showing me the tennis ball. Years ago, when I first met Laura Lynn Jackson at a Forever Family event, they had used to have like these little like garden parties they called them. It was like an employee appreciation thing. We were sitting at the table, and my grandfather came through to her and was bringing up stuff that I didn't even know about. And then she asked me if he played tennis, and I said, Laura, no, my grandfather was the laziest. Can I curse on here?
Yeah.
The
Absolutely.
laziest bastard you've ever met in your life. Love him to death, but the man was not playing any sport. Please, was not happening. But I know she's so good, so I was like, I don't know what that would mean. And then she's going, one tennis ball, one ball. And then she looked at me and she was like, did he have one testicle? And he actually did. And he used to joke about it all the time. And my grandfather died in like 1995, 1996. So like no one knows this anymore. You know what I mean? So I thought it was hysterical. But then that became a symbol for me. When I see a tennis ball, I know someone had a testicle removed. So here's this woman, waiting for this piece of information, and I'm sitting here going, how is the last thing I say to her going to be, does your son have one testicle? You know what I like? It's suffering. Her son has passed. How am I going to do this, right? So I said, Joe, you have to trust spirit. They would not put you in a bad position. Just do it. So I said, this is going to sound a little weird, but I said, did your son have one testicle? This woman almost fell off my couch. She said nobody knew that but me and my husband and my son. She said my mother didn't know it. She said no one in my family knows because he was embarrassed about it. So
Wow.
he didn't want anybody to know about it. So literally, she said three people knew about it and only two of them are living. And you're looking at one of them. She was like, now, and she like completely softened. She was like, now I know it's my son.
Oh
And I
my.
was like, oh my God. So you see what I'm saying? Like she really needed it. She was really, really suffering. So when people are really in grief and the reading can help, spirit will give me the best stuff ever. So feeling that connection to, like the strong connection to spirit, really does feed my soul. But I have to say the other thing that's completely sort of unrelated um, well, not really unrelated, but not in that world is my family and like my friends that are that because I have a lot of very close friends. When I'm with them, I know it sounds odd, but it also really does remind me of why I do what I do. I think because I have so much love around me in my family and people who just like really care about me. It's so inspiring, and I know that what I do is based in that love, and that's what people are looking for, trying to find again after someone passes when they book a reading. So it's sort of it's a reminder that I have it in my own life to kind of like because I'm an Aries, so I have to experience things firsthand. I like can't like put myself in other people's position. It's terrible. It's like an astrological, I don't know, genetic disorder or something. I have to burn my hand to know that the stove is hot. Um, so yeah, so those would be the two things: the people who love me, being around me, and just kind of doing the work and being reminded why.
I love that so much.
That's beautiful. And I just love how much you have to trust into spirit, right? Like you're like, oh,
Oh,
I don't know if I should deliver this, but it's so much bigger than you, and you're just like, all right, spirit, like you take the reins. I'm just following here.
it happened. Well, it's funny too because I did a reading the other day where I didn't say something right away because not because I didn't want to, I just didn't understand what I was supposed to say about it. So sometimes if that happens, I'm like, all right, give it to me in a different way so like I know what to say. And and they finally did, and it ended up being like the best validation of the entire reading. But sometimes like you could think, I just did a podcast the other day. This is another perfect example. I'm full of examples today.
Love it.
Good.
And one of the hosts asked me if I would do readings for them on the podcast. So I was like, yeah, like I'll do a quick like 5 minute whatever. You know what I mean? Who cares? Um, and the only thing that for one of the women, the only thing that was coming up from her, I think it was her father-in-law, maybe I don't know, was that she's going to be remodeling her house. And I'm like, this is so not a big deal. You know what I mean? Like everyone's gonna watch us and be like, this guy like had nothing to say, so he's just like bringing up painting a wall. This has been remodeling her house. Her and her friend, 'cause it's like two like besties that do the podcast. They were like, "You have no idea the gift you just gave her. She's been wanting to remodel her house for over a decade."
We have an exciting opportunity to share with you.
Did you know each week inside the Soul Revival community, we have a giveaway? One lovely soul is gifted something sacred, a Reiki session, an intuitive reading, a powerful course, or even access into the community itself. This isn't just a giveaway. It's a soul blessing, a moment where healing meets divine timing. You'll feel the shift, you'll see the signs, and you'll know you're not alone anymore. Say yes to your intuition, your healing, your next chapter. Enter now at the link below in the show notes labeled Soul Revival Giveaway for your chance to win.
Let's get back to today's episode.
They were like, she was like, and she told me, she said, just hearing that it's going to happen. She was like, I talk about it constantly. She's like, everyone's probably sick of hearing me talk about it. She's like, I want to remodel. I want to expand. I've been saying it forever. So again, to me, I'm like, this is going to probably, she's going to be like, okay, I'm painting. Who cares? But you never know what the message is going to mean to someone. So for those listening who are developing or, might get messages and not say them to people, just say them. You really never know. It might seem like the most mundane, everyday, stupid thing, and then the
Totally
person,
bizarre
yeah.
and out there, like too. I feel like the things like the more weird and the more embarrassed you are to say it as a medium, like the more validating it is. I feel like.
No, that's, can I tell you, it's so funny you say that because I learned that from Kim Russo, who's another Forever Family medium. So is Laura too. Kim, I'm good friends with Laura, and I'm very good friends with Kim, only because me and Kim share. My cousin is one of Kim's good friends, so she's like in my family, kind of. You know what I mean? But love them both the same. Oh my goodness. Anyway, um, Kim always said, I'll quote her directly. She always says the weirdest shit is always the best validation, and I'm like, it's so true.
It is so true.
That makes no sense at all. Or it could be someone from like, a 65-year-old white lady from the Midwest. And I'm like, why are they showing me you wearing a turban? You know what I mean? And then like all of a sudden it's like this you know what I mean? The less sense it makes, the more sure you could be that it's coming from spirit, honestly.
I love that. I love that. On that topic, I have a question for you, Joe.
Yeah.
Can you share the moment you first realized that you had medium or psychic abilities? Was it like something that gradually happened or was it sudden?
Um, okay, so I have one when I realized I was definitely psychic, and then one when I realized I was a medium. I'll share the medium one, I guess, which was a little bit later. But the psychic one, just real quick, not to like bait everyone, but I did dream about 9/11 like the weekend before it happened, and that's when I was like, I always had a funny feeling that I was psychic. Meanwhile, I was like 11 or 12 when 9/11 happened, so I was a young kid. But then I dreamt about it, and I was like, all right, something's going on here. Like what the hell is this? But that's side note. I always tell that story. I'll tell this one instead. I'll give you guys an exclusive. So when I first started developing my abilities, I wasn't sure I was a medium. I knew I was psychic, so I was like, let me just play around with it and like see what happens, right? So my cousin who knows Kim, her name is Maria D. Simone. She's a world-renowned astrologer. She's like very, very good. Been doing it for I don't know, like 20 years or 25 years, something like that.
Just
Uh,
quick plug, her site and like work is awesome. So just want to put
oh,
that. Yeah.
you know her. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
she's so good, right? Oh my God, my cousin is she's sick. Sometimes she predicts things in our family, and I'm like, why were you right again? I wish you weren't. Anyway, um, so yeah, so she invited me to. They have like this astrology kind of like organization group, whatever, where they like hang out, talk shop, all over. They have chapters all over the United States. It's called NCGR. And my cousin invited me to a dinner for the Long Island chapter. This was like in 2013, maybe 2012, 2013. So I was already like I had gotten readings. I had been told I was a medium. I met my guides already, so I knew I was psychic. I was doing some psychic readings for people that I knew, and then people that they knew. I wasn't charging or anything yet. And I had even my guides told me that I was going to be a medium or that I was, but I didn't believe it. I was like, I'm not special enough. Like I'm not. Who the hell do I think I am talking to dead people, right? Like shut the hell up. I didn't have people standing at my bed as a kid. You know what I mean? Like the typical
Exactly.
things.
Totally.
So I was like, all right, this ain't me. This is for other people. So I agreed to go to this astrology dinner because my cousin said all my medium friends are going to be there. So I was like, all right, cool. Like I'll meet a bunch of witches. This will be great, right? So I get there and she was like, "Oh, my friend Kim was supposed to come." And I knew who Kim was because she had a TV show for a while. And me and my mom used to watch it together all the time. We loved it. Um, because it was just such a good show and they edited it in a way that was very truthful. Anyway, um, so she wasn't supposed to come, and then she ended up coming anyway because she was supposed to film with I forget who the celebrity was, but she got sick, so they pushed the to the next week, so she was able to come to the dinner, and she ended up sitting right next to me. So I was like, "This is funny. Like, what? Well, the one open seat, and I'm next to this like woman that and I really admired her, and I always said like if I did readings, I would want to read like her. And it's funny because years later, I had people tell me like, "You and Kim told me the same thing. You say things in very similar ways." And I was like, oh, I made it. Like I did it. All right. Um, but during the dinner, she turned to me and she said, "When are you going to read me?" She was like, "Come on, what are you doing? Like, let's go." And I had never done a mediumship reading before. I'd only done readings with tarot cards. I had never just sat there and channeled. So I was like, I don't know what to do. And she was like, yes, you do. Like she was just not taking no for an answer. So it was just so funny. I immediately was like, all right, like I have two choices. I could just say no, or I could really just lean into this and like see what happens. And I leaned in, and it was so crazy because I read her and everything that I said, she was like, yes, this is accurate, and like it was names. It was I my mind was blown. I don't even know how I did the reading because I was also at the same time like completely freaking out because now I'm like, oh my God, I am a medium and I'm reading Kim Russo and she's like one of the best ever. And who the like what is my life all of a sudden? You know what I mean? It like changed in a second. So it did kind of hit to answer your question. Long story long, it did hit suddenly because after that day, I swear to God, it was like riding a bike. I did a reading once and I literally have never stopped. The next day I went to my cousin's house to go in the pool. She has like a nice backyard on Long Island and her mother-in-law was there. And I was just sitting there minding my business and all of a sudden I was like, "Oh my God, like that feeling from yesterday is coming back. What's happening?" And then I ended up reading her mother-in-law, who I have known since I'm 15 because my cousin married her husband when I was 15 years old, or maybe even younger, 13. Um, but I was telling her stuff I had no idea about her ex mother-in-law that no one even knew. Like it was so crazy. So it just kind of happened, and I never stopped, and I never shut the hell up since then.
You needed that divine alignment to get you there
Yeah,
next to him
I
to
did.
really crack you open.
Yes, you know what? I think I was always doing it my whole life, and because it was second nature, I didn't realize.
Yes.
And then once it was like highlighted, and I consciously was like, "Oh, that's what this feeling is. Got it." And then it just snowballed from there.
I also feel like that story is like such a full circle moment with what we were just talking about the weirdest things. Cause like you had the weirdest thing like crack you wide open, right? I mean, of all
Right.
the people you could have to read for your first reading, and anybody who's met Kim, like she's definitely not somebody who would take no for an answer anyways. So I'm sure you felt like you really couldn't say no anyhow.
No, I was like, all right, like, I
So I
guess
could say
so.
yes or I could say yes.
Right. But you know what? She would never do that to someone that she didn't think could or didn't know could do it. You know what I mean? Like she wasn't trying to test me. She
No.
was trying to show me like, idiot, you could do this. Just come on. Uh,
Yeah.
Your
which
reflection.
I thought was so, and I don't even think my cousin told her that I thought I was a medium or psychic. She just was like, "Oh, this is my cousin." You know what I mean? Like she just knew. It was so funny.
Yeah, she knew, and I think she knew, her soul knew she was your pathway to recognizing it too.
Yeah, I think so. And we have so many similarities. Her family originally is from where my family's from in Queens, like the same neighborhood. She has a son with the same name as me. We're almost the same age. Like there's so many, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that happens so often with the closest people in our lives.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, there's so many people who I'll just, for some reason, I'm like, God, I like this person. I don't know why. And then I talk to them, and I'm like, of course I like you. You grew up like this, and like one of my really good friends. It's so funny. Like our moms have the same name, and I know it's not like a oh my God crazy, but our moms' names are Valerie. Like that's not a common name. You know what I mean? It's not like their names are Mary. But it's just so like just little things like that. Like you'll just find my other best friend. Our dads are born on the same day. His due date, he was supposed to be born on my birthday. I was born a week early. You know what I mean? Like I was supposed to be born the week he was born. We have so many weird little, that happens a lot with people. It happens a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
I personally don't believe in coincidences, so maybe it's that thing that needs to spark it to keep that to keep
Yeah.
that relationship going. Are you seeing repeating numbers, feathers, or hearing songs at just the right time? Those signs aren't random. They're messages from your angels. Join the Soul Revival August 7th at 7 p.m. Central Time for a powerful live course. Angel Signs. We'll teach you how to receive, decode, and trust in divine guidance. You'll learn how to spot signs from your angels, understand their meanings, and strengthen your connection to the other side. This isn't just a class. It's an activation. And trust me, your angels are already nudging you to say yes. Reserve your spot now. You don't want to miss this. Link below.
I think it's like signs of your soul group or something. It's like everybody, like the soul group, it's almost like you're on the same like wavelength or channel or something. And like the way energy manifests in your life is very similar because you're riding the same wave. So it's going to come in. You know what I mean? So you get like similar dates, or even in my family, like we are not born like we're born, we have birthdays in every month, but every month everyone's born either on the same day or like within 2 days of each other. It's the weirdest thing. Like it's never spread out. Like my week of my birthday, I have my great grandmother and my grandfather, and then me. I have two cousins on November 1st and two of them on the 31st. Like everyone of October. Everyone is just so, and I really think it's like a soul group thing. Like it's all just very like we're just meant, I don't know, meant to be together, I guess. That's what that's about.
I love that.
It all comes into alignment. I'm October 30th, so I'm very similar to
Oh, how funny
you.
is that? Of course you're a Scorpio. Look at you.
Yes.
Give you
That's
Scorpio
so
for
funny.
sure.
Oh, I love it when you tee up on cancers because that's mine.
Oh, I could do so sweet. No, you know what? I will say I'm a Cancer. I'm an apologist now about it because the older I get, some of my favorite people in the world are actually Cancers, and I'm like I talked a lot of shit when I was younger. I gotta bite my tongue now.
Now that you're like older and want a little more nurturing energy, like you're aligned with
Now
it.
that I'm nicer, now that my Aries flame has turned down a little bit, I'm like, oh, maybe I was a dick, and they were always right.
They weren't just being overly sensitive.
Yeah, it was me. Full time. My
Plot
bad.
twist.
So I apologize to all my little crabs out there if you're listening. I love you. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Um, do you have, I would love for you to share if there's any like specific stories that come to mind from Forever Family that you just like where you just saw huge shifts in somebody as a result of the medium readings. And just for anybody listening, the format is amazing because it's a small group. It's like 50 people. You are broken up into, they split you into three different groups. So there's so much one-on-one with the mediums, with the researchers, the scientists. So it opens itself, it lends itself very well to everybody being able to get a reading, which is amazing for somebody going through grief. But are there any like stories that you just like, even you were kind of like blown away by?
Oh, geez. I mean, yeah, my God, there's so many. I'm trying to even think. Oh, well, there is one that I always tell. Well, this isn't the most transformative one, but it was just kind of a crazy thing that came up. But no, I have another one. So there's this woman. This was many years ago in Connecticut, and I'm telling this because I saw her at two different retreats, so I have a comparison. So the first one she went to, her and her husband were sitting right in the front. Um, and they honestly like the nicest people. Like the husband, you could see was a little bit like, I don't know what to expect here. Like not closed off, but just very like, I don't know what this is. Like I got to feel it out. And you could just see she was so heartbroken. And for those listening, we don't know anything. Like no one tells us anything. A lot of the people who come to Forever Family are bereaved parents. So you can, I don't want to say it's safe to assume most of the people in the room have lost a child, but at least half, most of the time, have. But it's a lot of people like yourself who've lost a spouse, or you know what I mean, or just a lot of people. Anyway, um, so at one point or another, when I was reading the whole group, because we have small groups, and then we do, the one medium will do like the entire 50 people twice, once on Friday, once on Saturday, or Saturday and Sunday, however they set it up. And I started reading her, and she had a son who passed. like 8 months before that. So already, it's so fresh, and he was a teenager, and I think he was in a car accident. No, I'm sorry, he overdosed. I believe. It was so sad, accidental. Um, so we were going through the reading, and she was really, you could tell, like, really responsive to it, and her husband was interested, but I think he was still sort of waiting for something. So all of a sudden, I said, your son is bringing forward another young man who passed in a car accident, and I forget the name that I gave her. And she said, that's my other son. And I was like, oh my God, what? After her first son passed,
Oh,
the second one, like months later, got into a fatal car accident. So she lost both her boys, like in the same year, one from an overdose and one just from some senseless accident. And I was like, these poor people, oh my God. So now I'm like, all right, I got, like, you got to give them something. You know what I mean? I got to get not that I would never, I've always put in the same effort for everyone, but when you hear a story like that, you really kind of, the pressure's on to really help these people in any way you can. So the both the sons, I forget the exact message, but they showed me like a battleship, basically like a warship, and they said, tell my dad thank you for coming. We know it was very hard for him to get the time off. So I said this to him, and I said, and they showed me like a battleship. I had to laugh at it because I was like, well, like what? What is this? He works on one. He's like a mechanic for like the military or something on these like ocean liner, like giant, like, yep, what are they called? The ones that, like, where the planes land on them, like hang, like, you know what
geez.
I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like a big ship like that. Where, like, fighter jets would be like taking off from the ocean or whatever. And he said it's very hard for him to get off, and he almost basically said, like, I didn't know if I wanted to waste getting my one, time off that I can on this versus like some vacation or something. So it was such a specific message. So they got a really good reading from me. I think they got readings the rest of the weekend. Like, I think it was really, a powerful weekend for them. The following, that was July, so maybe I saw her again in January. It might have been at the Florida retreat in Fort Myers. And I almost didn't recognize her because she was so light and breezy. Like, she came in the elevator, and I was like, God, this lady looks familiar. But again, you meet so many people. I'm in a hotel. Maybe she looks like someone I know. And she was like, Joe, I don't know if you remember me. I forget what her first name was. Oh, we'll say Carol. um, and I was like, oh my God, it's you. Like, I couldn't even believe it because she was just so transformed. And she actually was embracing her own mediumship journey and learning how to do readings after that, because she said the experience at the first retreat just kind of opened her up to everything. And she said when she does it, she just feels closer to her son by helping other people. So she just kind of like blossomed. I don't know. I lost touch. I always feel funny asking people for her family for like information, like contact information, even if I really like them, because we're supposed to keep it anonymous, and I don't want anyone thinking or accusing that foundation of like they're following everyone on Instagram and they're looking at each other's. You know what I mean? So if I'm ever rude to anyone listening, and Forever Family, I'm not being rude. I just don't want you to think that I'm like a shyster or something, or you know what I mean? Like I'm like trying to like trick somebody.
You have such open energy, such inviting energy. I mean,
Oh,
I felt that from you the first time I met you. Well, I felt that from you when you did the reading with me, and I felt that from you meeting you in person. So I guarantee nobody thinks that.
I hope not. I would hope not. I just always, you know what it is, because so many of them, it gets so personal. You know what I mean? And you spend a weekend with someone. It's not like it's personal on Zoom, and then 40 minutes you close the laptop, and you go about your day. You're hanging out with them. You're having, well, at least I'm having wine and cheese with them until 3 in the morning, which I know is not responsible of me as someone who's supposed to be working. But you got to unwind a little bit. Yeah.
Totally
But yeah. So if I don't ask for your Instagram or your number, if you offer it to me, I will take it at a retreat. I just don't want to ask. I don't want anyone to think that we're cheating or anything like that.
So, Joe, with that story, how there's like that ripple effect, right? Like you brought this perspective, you changed the way the woman had thought. Do you see that happen a lot with other people as well?
Yeah, again, it depends on why they're coming for a reading. Like, if it's somebody who's really deeply in grief, 9 times out of 10, there's only one example I could really think of someone who was really grieving, and the reading really just didn't work. But she was very combative. This woman that I'm thinking of, which happens. Um, and what's interesting is that she kind of said no to everything. And if someone's saying no a lot in the first like 5 to 10 minutes, maybe at max, I'll refund and just like end the reading because I'm not. It ain't happening. I'm not going to sit here for all this time and try to make it work if it's not going to work. Um,
I just want to pause and say, like, you are extremely accurate. So
oh, thank
for
you.
anybody, like, extremely accurate. So for anybody listening, if somebody's saying no, it's just because they're naysayer energy, not because of Joe.
Thank you for saying that, and I will agree with you a little bit. Like, I'm not trying to be ego at all. I know that I do a lot to make sure I keep my ability at the best that can be. I really try to stay in the best shape spiritually, mentally, emotionally. I mean, listen, we in this day and age, it's very hard. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot to
Just
bring you
don't turn
down.
on the TV, right?
Right, just don't turn on the TV. I can, don't look at Aaron Parnas's TikTok. You know what I mean? Like, anyway. um, so I do know that if I'm saying something, I know it means something, even if I'm misinterpreting it. Like I am very confident at this point that if I'm getting something, it means something. If it's wrong, I said the wrong thing. It's not them. So, when that happens, I try not to take it personally like I used to, because I used to be like, oh my God, I'm not good at this. I'm having an off day. There is something, I don't know why it works like this, but when someone's energy is extra skeptical or extra shut down, or they come into it actively trying to prove you wrong, or, I did a reading the other day, and I feel so bad if this woman sees this, because she may remember, but she I think she was trying to do the right thing and not feed me information. But sometimes people take like playing coy to like a whole other level, and it's actually insane. So this woman, I was telling her I had a younger guy coming through on the other side, and I gave her the age range. And she said, that could be two people. So I said, okay, let me ask them to validate a little bit more, so we know who we're talking about. So I said whatever I said, and I forget what her response was, but I said to her, I said, so of the two people you're asking about, I said we figured out who one was because we got one. I said the other one, I was like, I have a man. I said you said that could be one of two people. I said you're thinking of a man, correct? Uh, kind of. So I said, oh, okay. Kind of. So now I'm trying to like not let my analytical mind get in the way, because I'm like, well, is the person trans? Is it a dog? Like I'm like, where am I? Like, what
Where
could
my
kind
head goes to, yeah.
of, I mean, like my like logical mind immediately took over, and I'm like, fuck is kind of. So eventually, I was giving details about another person, and I said, I said, was this person trans? I said, you said kind of. What does that mean? And she was like, no. She said, I was thinking of a girl. So there was one, it was just a whole misunderstanding. But because she didn't want to say, you know what I mean?
A
So
direction.
my point in telling this story is not just to publicly complain. Sorry, guys. I gotta vent to people who understand when I can. Um, but you're doing yourself a disservice. You may think that you're outsmarting the medium, or you're protecting yourself from getting duped or whatever. That's not how to do it. If you really want to make sure we're not cheating, get a VPN, make a fake email address, give me a fake name. I don't need your real name. You could tell me your name is Nancy. You'll still get the exact same reading from the exact same people. It won't matter. It's your energy I'm connecting to. You're lucky if your real name doesn't pop up in the reading somewhere. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
you don't have to be a pain in the ass during the reading in order to.
They're interfering with the channel,
You're
actually.
in and you're shutting your energy down. So if you're, but you know what? That's not skeptical. That's not understanding how it works, and almost cynical a little bit.
Yeah.
And honestly, I always say you have to remember, mediums are still people. Like, we can get in our own way very easily. So if you piss me off and you're being annoying, the reading's going to suffer, because now I don't want to sit here with you for 40 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, I know that sounds terrible because I'm supposed to be like,
It's honest. I love it.
you know what I mean? So I'm like, why would you? It's like if you were like at the hospital and you want to be like annoying to the doctor that's about to perform a surgery. If this person is can't wait to get away from you, do you really want them doing surgery on you? Like, we have to remember at the base of everything is like sociology. We're still humans. Like why would you not be like nice and agreeable and sweet and just say I don't understand or maybe fake it. If you think the reading's horrible, I mean obviously you could say that, but if you think that I'm trying to like get information out of you, there's a nicer, more like friendly, amicable way that'll just let everything flow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of just saying like, well, kind of, and that doesn't even make sense, like in the context, like,
For a
and she,
yes or no question.
it's so funny too because she was like so shocked that I asked if the person was trans. She was like, "What? No," and I was like, "Then what the hell does kind of mean?" I like, and honestly, I like was a little bit offended when she said kind of because I was like, if that person is trans, like that's like a rude way of saying it. You know what I mean? Like, kind of, like, what the hell's that? Like, they either are, or they aren't. Something, so it was just so funny, like again, my left brain kind of just got way too involved in the situation because I couldn't not. So don't do things like that if you're listening. Just again, if you want, the anonymity, do it in a real way, and then just like any, just be nice during the reading, and you'll get a good reading. It'll work out. Trick
Yeah.
the medium into thinking you're super open to it. That's the best way. Make us comfortable. Then you'll get a better reading. The second we feel attacked or judged, or the human part kicks in. You know what I mean? You can't help it.
And do all the over the top research ahead of time. Like, don't bring that energy to the reading because you're just
Right.
interfering with it.
Right. That's that. You know what? That's a good point because I think people come in calling themselves a skeptic and they're like, oh, I'll find out if it's real or not. Never having even heard of Jim Tucker or Bruce Grayson or Ed Kelly or anybody at DOPS or you know what I mean? Like, and for those listening, those are all scientists who study consciousness and survival of consciousness, specifically past lives, near-death experiences. I mean, if you're gonna claim that you can figure it out, you better have read one of those books. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And this whole like debunking energy for the sake of debunking is getting real old real quick. Like,
Oh,
especially
honestly,
when the
yeah.
science is there proving all this stuff is real and we already know, like we feel it every day. Like it's already real. Like we don't need to be proving it.
I don't right. And you know what? I'm all for the evidence for sure, but
Right.
I have to say as I'm growing as a medium and I think part of it's getting older. Honestly, I've started when I was in my 20s, so I was all about like let me prove it to the world. And now that I'm 36, I'm like, girl, I don't care if you believe this or not. You know what I mean? Like it kind
Yeah.
of
No,
whatever.
like because the reality is like who it's meant for is who's going to land with, and anybody else like they'll catch up eventually, but it's not our job to like prove it. They can figure it out, like and prove it to themselves eventually when, and honestly, unfortunately, probably suffering will get them there because like that's the
That's
fastest path to realizing this stuff
right.
is true.
That's the way to do it. And I do appreciate that people know to be skeptical because unfortunately, like 98%, maybe not 98%, but a good chunk of the people out there who claim to be mediums and psychics are either just very inexperienced or flat out, trying to con people. It's a thing. We have no like central government office to regulate mediumship. You know what I mean? So there's no like regulatory body. So anyone can say it. You know what I mean? And
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 that's where I
so
think like Forever Family, sorry to interrupt you, but like Forever Family and Windbridge Institute are so critical so that people have
important.
very easy ways to do the research.
Right. And I do think that Forever Family and Windbridge too. I don't think Windbridge is certifying new people, and I don't think they've certified anyone new in a while. But I Forever Family is. So anyone listening who's a good medium and wants to try foreverfamilyfoundation.org, go apply. Um, oh my God, I forgot what I was just gonna say. Could
Sorry.
you imagine? It just spirit took it right out of my head. When I remember, we'll come back to it. All right, next question.
I just want to ask you one thing. So, because I've noticed this for myself personally, not with clients, but like with mediums that I've worked with and just been in community with. Can you talk a little bit about your experience with energetics when it comes to like a good reading, i.e., your energy resonating with the person on the other side and vice versa?
Oh, like kind of like the synergy between everybody.
Yeah.
So I will say the least, ironically, the least problematic aspect of a reading is the person on the other side. Like they usually pretty much jive with anyone. Like if they need a message in life, you could have been polar opposites. You could have even hated each other in life and knew each other. They'll still come to you if it's all about love over there and forgiveness. So you know what I mean? Like it's very rare. I've heard some mediums say like, oh, this person might not come to someone like that. I mean, I do believe that and I've said this myself too, like maybe that maybe your father didn't like me and he'll go to another medium. I'm saying it mostly joking. I don't think it's about preference. I think it's more when we do a reading, it's almost like I have a word bank in my head, right? Like I can only really talk about what I've seen and experienced in this life. That's why I always say I give Italian people great readings. Like they get like some of the best. Not only anyone can get a good reading, but you know what I mean because I grew up like that, so I can bring up like the weirdest stuff because I it's part of my life. Like they'll start showing me stuff from my life, and I'm like, oh my god, you had that too, or whatever it is. Um, but let's say I had to read somebody who grew up in like rural Japan somewhere, which I did recently, actually, believe it or not. Reading was great, but there's there might be things that they want to talk about that I can't really like I can get close maybe like a name or do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's where the synergy comes with spirit and the medium. Like I think they try to pick the best person who can say the message the most clearly.
Mhm.
Are they developed enough? Do they have the frame of reference? Do they, are they going to walk up to my wife in the middle of the store or not? You know what I mean? Like they got to find the right person. So I think that's how that works. But all of that happens before we get to the reading. I
Right.
think they already kind of, pick us out or guide the person to you or whatever it is, make you both at the same baseball game sitting next to each other and, however it happens. When it comes to um, the people again, like the living people, that's where you kind of uh, get into trouble because even if the person we talked a little bit about someone not being open or kind of fighting the process, right? Thinking that they're doing the right thing and they're not at all. They're just pushing against it. Um, but I've even seen people who are very open and very sweet and very nice, and they're ready to receive messages, not get a good reading or I mean it's very rare that I shouldn't even say this out loud, but knock on wood that I have to like a reading doesn't happen or no one comes through. It hasn't happened in a long time, but it's happened before with people that like I really liked and people who were. I was like, oh my God, I feel extra bad. Like I wanted to read this person. Like they were so sweet. It might be because they're not ready. Like maybe they booked at a time when they weren't ready. I don't mean spirit not being ready because to be honest with you, I'm not a subscriber to the needing to wait a certain amount of time for spirit to be able to communicate. I read a woman once, literally, whose ex-husband died while she was on the way to my house for a reading, and the entire hour of the reading, because I was doing an hour back then. Now I only do 40 minutes. Well, I say 40 minutes, but anyway, sometimes we end up doing an hour if it's juicy. Um, but the whole reading was from her ex-husband who had passed away literally that morning. I think she came over at 11, she was driving over at 10, he died at like 9:30. You know what I mean? So I don't believe that for a second.
I don't either because I got
Yeah.
signs from Roger literally as soon as he passed. Literally.
Right. I've had people die in my life and like the day that I find out about it, I've known people. How about that I've gotten signs from people who were dying. And that happened to me once. My friend's uncle came to me right before he died, and I said it. I was like, "What? Why? Who's his name was John?" I was like, "Who the hell's this guy named John?" I didn't even know he was sick. And then I finally figured out who he was, and I called my friend, and I was like, "What the hell's going on with John?" She was like, "Oh my God, he's on hospice." I was like, "He was just in my living room." So you don't even have to. You could be transitioning already and halfway there and still communicate because I didn't even know the man was sick. Anyway, um, but yeah, so I think the not being ready is more for the person here. If you and I notice this happens a lot with tragic passings, like suicides or murders, or I see this a lot where it's so loaded, or if someone passes and like you were fighting with them, or you were if it was a husband or a spouse or something, and you guys were on the verge of breaking up, and then the person passes. Sometimes you might not be ready to hear or people in the family are not ready to hear what needs to be said, they're not going to say it until people are ready. They're not going to waste the time coming through saying something that's going to hit at the wrong time. And then when the right time rolls around, it's already too late. We already said it. We're not paying attention to it. We're not thinking about it. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense because everything there is love and light. So they're going to want it all to be purposefully for healing, like to come through the right way.
Exactly. You said it so perfectly. The whole point of a reading, especially if you're doing mediumship or even speaking from like your spirit guides, like not even psychic stuff, you could kind of just tune into anything, right?
Mhm.
Um, But if it's being led by guides, which is what I do when I do psychic, I kind of let them chime in. It's always about healing. You could be asking me, Joe, when am I going to get a new job? And by the end of it, 20 minutes later, after I give you a long ass answer and talk the whole time, their chances are we're not just talking about the job or work. They're always going to bring up the root cause of why you haven't found the job. And maybe that's because you have self esteem issues or a self worth thing, or you were always afraid to follow your passion and the universe is holding you in place until you realize, hey, I need to go be a country singer. It's what I wanted to do my whole life. I got to leave accounting. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like,
my God, Joe. Do you know I'm in Nashville now? I was in Chicago when you read me
oh,
before.
really? I didn't know
There's
that.
so much shit when you tell your stories. And that's what I love about your readings. Like you pull through things when you're trying to describe them, like you just did.
No, it's true. I do it all the time. I'll be like, for example, like, if you broke your leg in Texas and they're like, I did that last year. I'm like, what? Like, it's so weird. Yeah, sometimes the stories that happens because I'm not thinking. I'm just kind of like saying, whatever. Oh, Nashville. I've never been, but I heard it's beautiful. I heard it's so much fun.
Yeah.
But um, but yeah, so that's how that goes. So I think that's a big part of the synergy too, is being ready. You should never force getting a reading. If you want one and you really feel like you should get one, get one. But if you are like, if you see 222 3 times in one day, don't just go and book a reading because you're like, oh my God. I can I tell you, I get that all the time in a lot of my lives, like on TikTok and Instagram. People are like, oh my God, I've been getting signs from my grandmother. Is she trying to tell me something? And I'm like, they half the time are never trying to tell you anything. They just want you to know that they're around. And if they did have something to tell you, they find a way to lead you to that answer. They're like not gonna be like, call Joe. You know what I mean? Like this is not a movie. It's just not how it works. Like there's it's never going to be a warning. They're just going to help you sidestep harm's way or whatever. Like it's they have more influence than we realize.
Yeah, 100%. I would also say to add on to like reasons to get a reading, if you, because I feel like a lot of times with grief and trauma, and I do think they're one and the same, actually, I feel like grief is trauma. But I feel like if you are getting signs and you're getting dream visits and you are tapping into your own abilities, having a reading is a beautiful icing on the cake. Like I've had plenty of readings before where it was like from, Forever Family mediums who are validating things that I've already seen, I've already gotten dream visits about, I've already gotten visuals about, but it is such a beautiful additional layer of validation, especially early in your journey when you're trying to tap more into the energy of trust. So I just want to mention that because you were literally the first medium who read me after Roger passed, and it was pretty fresh. And a lot of the things that you said were, I mean, everything was accurate. You didn't say anything not accurate. And so much of your storytelling hit on signs as well. But also, it was kind of the icing on the cake for me because it validated everything I was already getting and helped me tap more into that energy of openness and trust to receive more myself. So I do feel like getting readings creates this like beautiful like circle effect if you are getting like signs and messages directly too.
Right. I agree. I think just the validation in general, it just adds another layer of like, okay, this person is there. This is just another way that they, got a message to me. It's important. It's an important part of the journey. I think anyone who is on this journey and is really trying to like find where is my loved one, or you know what I mean, or how do I get to them, or how do I communicate? Mediumship, a good reading with a reputable medium it's important. It helps. It is a big step. You're right. An important step.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, do you have any last things that you want people to know, especially if they're booking a reading with you?
Jeez. Well, if you're booking a reading, don't be a pain in the ass.
Don't be a
Oh, no.
pita. No pitas.
Don't be a pain in the ass. Just no, for real. Everything I said about how to kind of if you're on the skeptical side, do all those things. You don't have to, challenge me in person. You can hide your identity completely. I don't need a name. It's fine. Um, but no, you know what? I would tell people that, mediumship especially is fueled by love, like the connection to the other side. That's really what all this is about. I know that that sounds cliche. You know what I mean? Love is all you need. Give you a little Beatles moment, right? But it's true. that is what connects us on, with our people on the other side. It connects our souls. It's that feeling. You know what I mean? That unconditional, like it. I swear to God, one day they're going to be able to like measure it or observe it or something because it's such a connector. I feel like there's like a law of physics connected to it. And you know what I mean? Like there really is something. So if you are coming from that place, no matter what you're doing, what your goal is, where, before getting a reading, or as long as it's coming from a place of love, you're gonna get a good reading, you're gonna have a good experience. And even if you're trying to connect on your own, just lean into the love part of it. I promise you, and the trust too. Like you said before, Lindsay, trust is a big one. Um, in connecting with our people on the other side. But if you just kind of like lean into the love, trust a little bit, you'll find your people are there. Like your loved one, they're gonna make sure that you know that they're around. But remember that that's the connection. You don't need like a crystal or to be hypnotized or to do some kind of dance or initiation. Like all that stuff's great. You know what I mean? I love a little ceremony. Don't get me wrong, but you don't need it. All you need is love, truthfully.
And I love that answer. Joe, tell us how people can get a hold of you.
Oh, so my website is joeperreta.com. That's Perreta. All my info's on there. My booking form, if you wanted to book. I'm on TikTok and Instagram. Joe Perreta is my handle. I do lives on both. Lives every Tuesday on Instagram. And then lives whenever the hell I feel like it on TikTok. I'm trying
You
to
are an Aries.
that's just when usually later at night when I'm up all night and I'm like, what could I do? And I'm like, all right, let me read people on TikTok. And don't forget to go to foreverfamilyfoundation.org. Every third Thursday, you can listen to my radio show, call in. For a chance, if you get through, you can get a reading with whoever the medium is on the show. Sometimes I chime in too. And check out their website too, because they have tons of webinars, book recommendations. You can book the grief retreats on there. There's a ton of stuff. But yeah, just Google Joe Perreta. All my shit will show up. I'm the only Joe Perreta in my family who's a medium, so I'll show up on Google instead of my dad and my grandfather.
And we'll drop your contact information on the show notes. I would say like your Instagram lives are excellent because not only do you do readings, but you talk about the astrology, which I think is really great.
Yeah, give a little astrological update for the world / for your own lives. It started during COVID when everyone was freaking out, and I was like, what could I do to give people a little bit of peace and hope? And then I just kept doing it because it helps people.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Joe. We really appreciate you. You are such a beautiful light, and I'm so thankful to have come across your path on this incarnation, and we appreciate your time.
Yes, of course, of course. So nice to meet you, Autumn, and so nice to see you, Lindsay, again. You guys take care. Thank you so much.
Yes, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much, Joe. It was an honor to have you on today.
Thank you.
If today's words stirred something in you, that's no coincidence. Your soul is speaking and it's ready to be heard. If you resonated with today's episode, Spirit is cheering you on, encouraging you. Start choosing yourself again. Start saying yes to your healing and join our sacred community over at www.thesoulrevival.com.
Because healing is better when we do it together. If you love this episode, be sure to hit follow, leave a review, and share this with someone who's ready to return to their soul self. Thank you, Aligned Souls.